الحمد لله الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. فإذا قضيتم مناسككم فاذكروا الله كذكركم آباءكم أو أشد ذكرا، إلى آخر الآية. صدق الله العظيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم في دعائه: اللهم اغفر للحاج ولمن يستغفر له الحاج. آمين يا رب العالمين، أو كما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Honorable ulama, respected elders, dearest brothers, friends, colleagues, and very importantly our youth in Islam. As always, we begin by praising Allah Azza wa Jal, by acknowledging every one of the bounties of Allah, which in essence are innumerable. As Allah reminds us, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If we try to enumerate the bounties of Allah, we will definitely fall short. We will never be able to enumerate and count and do justice to understanding and appreciating all of the bounties of Allah. Yet at least we should try. For indeed Allah Azza wa Jal says, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you are grateful, if you express your gratitude, then I will increase those bounties for you. And every single one of us will acknowledge that we are always infinitely in need of all of the bounties of Allah. We also beg Allah to shower His choicest of salat and salam, peace and salutations upon our noble master Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Honorable listeners, we are waiting patiently for our Hujjaj to return, which culminates the season of Hajj. And indeed, what a momentous season it is. For many, if not most, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and they are returning from this most august and spiritually uplifting journey and an enriching experience. And we are told in the hadith by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that we should go out of our way to meet the Hujjaj. So therefore, every single one of us should make an attempt to find out who in our community, in our society, in our town, from among our musallis in our masjid, have gone for Hajj. And then let us go out of our way to meet these Hujjaj. From the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam that I have quoted before you, in the form of a dua, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam begs and beseeches Allah Azza wa Jal in the following words: Allahumma ghfir lil hajj wa liman yastaghfiru lahu al hajj. That, O Allah, forgive this brother or sister who has gone for Hajj and who has now returned from Hajj, and then by extension of this Haji being forgiven, وَلِمَنْ يَسْتَغْفِرُ لَهُ الْحَاجِ, on behalf of whomsoever this Haji brother or sister begs the forgiveness of Allah, Allah Azza wa Jal forgives those people as well. Wallahi, how great this is. When we realize that the Haji returns from Hajj كَيَوْمٍ وَلَدَتْهُ أُمُّهُ, so spiritually purified as if our mothers have just given birth to us. Wouldn't we all love to know that we have a clean slate, that we have no criminal record, that we can start afresh? Now the Hujjaj, insha'Allah, let us make dua that Allah have granted every one of them this great opportunity and this great accolade, that they are returning completely pure and clean, and they have the opportunity to literally start over, because Hajj is fard only once in a lifetime. So therefore, the procedure, the sunnah is, we should go out of our way to meet the Hujjaj. And when we meet them, we should embrace them. And at this juncture, I think it is necessary to mention that unless the people of the opposite gender that we are meeting fall into the category of to whom we are mahram, then only can we embrace them. Otherwise, brothers will meet brothers, sisters will meet sisters. So for example, in our locality, if we found out that so-and-so neighbor living in so-and-so estate has come back from Hajj, then as a couple, husband and wife can go and meet them. The husband will meet the husband. The wife will meet the wife. Let us make every opportunity to ensure, let us ensure to the best of our ability that we do not violate the injunctions of Sharia by men greeting women, women greeting men, when there is no relationship of mahramiyyat between them. And so let us embrace them and let us say to them, please, I beg of you, as a Haji who has just returned, I ask of you to please make dua for my forgiveness. And then there is a sunnah dua that we could make. And that sunnah dua is, قَبِلَ اللَّهُ حَجَّكَ وَغَفَرَ ذَنْبَكَ وَأَخْلَفَ نَفَقَتَكَ. If we remember the Arabic, it will be so much more beautiful. It will add so much more value. If we do not remember the Arabic, then at least let us remember the English. That may Allah accept your Hajj. قَبِلَ اللَّهُ حَجَّكَ. May Allah accept your Hajj. وَغَفَرَ ذَنْبَكَ. May Allah forgive and wipe clean your slate so that you do not have a single blemish of sin upon you. وَغَفَرَ ذَنْبَكَ وَأَخْلَفَ نَفَقَتَكَ. And may Allah Azza wa Jal replace and replenish every single cent that you have spent in order to accomplish this great goal and to fulfill this great fifth pillar of Islam. وَأَخْلَفَ نَفَقَتَكَ قَبِلَ اللَّهُ حَجَّكَ وَغَفَرَ ذَنْبَكَ وَأَخْلَفَ نَفَقَتَكَ. This is the sunnah procedure of greeting a Haji, begging the Haji to make dua for our forgiveness, because without a shadow of doubt, we all need it. And then to make this dua for the Haji. Now, as the Hujjaj are returning, we also come to the end of this month of Dhul Hijjah. And as we conclude the month of Dhul Hijjah, we are also coming to the end of yet another Islamic year. And I recall that in this very masjid, in a previous Jumu'ah some time back, a discussion took place which I addressed our congregation, saying that as Muslims, it is so imperative that we reconnect ourselves with our Islamic identity. And some examples were given at that point. Some of them were that we all know our English date of birth, but how many of us know our Islamic date of birth? Something as seemingly trivial as that actually makes a big difference to the grey matter. It makes a big difference to our psyche, because it means that we start aligning ourselves more with our Islam. When we write the date, which date do we write? The English date or the Islamic date? I have a colleague of mine, a friend in our masjid, and he's a teacher. And he said to me, he has realized how much of a difference it has made for him teaching in primary school, that when he starts teaching, and he is teaching in a government public school, the vast majority of his learners of whom are non-Muslims, but he writes the Islamic date at the top of the board first, and then the English date. And this has been a subtle, yet a very poignant da'wat to Islam. At this juncture, I'd like to digress to mention that ever since this whole eruption has taken place in Palestine, in Gaza, and the entire world is talking about it, if we had to Google search which topic is most spoken about in the world and which is research, it is Islam. That means you and I have the obligation as well, and we have the opportunity, because there are so many people that are entering the fold of Islam, that are becoming Muslim by virtue of the attack and the onslaught against Islam. So why should we allow this opportunity to pass us by, when we can capitalize on it, and you and I can become vicegerents of Allah? Because Allah Azza wa Jal has announced in the Quran, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً, that, O my malaika, O my angels, I'm going to appoint a vicegerent, a deputy, an ambassador on my behalf on the face of this earth. So I ask you, who is this ambassador? Is he sitting in some embassy somewhere? No, my respected listeners. You and I are the ambassadors of Allah. You and I are the khulafa, the khalifas of Allah. You and I are the representatives of Allah. So at this juncture, we need to ask ourselves, truly, honestly, and this is a question for myself first, how significantly do I actually represent the deen of Allah? In my actions, in my dressing, in my speech, in my social gatherings, in my work environment? Am I actually representing Allah? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because this is so closely linked to the message of Hajj. You see, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam congregated Sahaba. There are various narrations with regard to the number of Sahaba that were present in the Hajjatul Wada', in the farewell pilgrimage of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Some narrations point to the fact that there were approximately 114,000 Sahaba. Other narrations indicate that there may be as many as 124,000 Sahaba present there. And the Rasul of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and the Hujjaj have been reminded about this. And we are being reminded about it now, so that there can be cohesion when the Hujjaj return. Perhaps this is a discussion, a point to bring about as we mingle, when we meet. The Rasul of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam asked Sahaba, Allah hal ballaght, O my Sahaba, my companions, tell me, have I conveyed the deen to you in its true essence? Have I done the tabligh of deen? Have I done the da'wah of deen? Allah hal ballaght. Sahaba obviously acknowledged in the affirmative. Then the Rasul of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam raised his shahada, forefinger of his right hand, and pointed to the heavens and said thrice, Allahumma shhad, Allahumma shhad, Allahumma shhad. O Allah, you bear testimony that my Sahaba are witness to the fact that I have now completed my obligation. And then the Rasul of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam mandates every single one of us as the khulafa, as the vicegerents and the ambassadors of Allah and the Rasul of Allah, by saying, فَلْيُبَلِّغِ الشَّاهِدْ مِنْكُمُ الْغَائِبِ. This deen, in its purity, in its perfection, needs to be taken to every single person. I was extremely blessed that we just come back from Qatar, where we spent 40 days in a Mahram Mastura Jama'ah. And we see the thirst that people have there for deen. We all know that 2 years ago the World Cup took place there. And the number of people that have accepted Islam and are still accepting Islam is unreal. And the desire that these Arabs have, especially the Arabs, but not only the Arabs, even others, for people to enter the deen of Islam, but not just to enter the deen of Islam per se, as lip service Muslims, but to become true believers, and the endeavors that they make. So for example, in this one area called Sayliya, the Arab brother in whose home we were residing at that point brought a brother to us. When we looked at him, we immediately recognized that this looks like a born South African. We spoke to him, he told us he's from KwaZulu-Natal. I can't even remember his birth name. But then he told us, I became Muslim here. I lived in South Africa for almost 30 years of my life. I knew no Muslims and I was not a Muslim. And I came here to Qatar and I was given the da'wat of Islam so many times, and I saw the beauty of Islam and I accepted Islam, and now my name is Dawood. We saw how many people like this. One of the homes in which our ladies were hosted, that brother and his wife, when they got married, they were Hindus from India. And when they went over to Qatar for employment, Allah Azza wa Jal blessed them with Islam. And then the effort went further. And this is where this culmination comes about. That Hajj and the message to the Hujjaj is that you and I are the vicegerents of Allah, which means that you and I need to represent the true deen of Islam. You see, the non-Muslims are never going to witness us performing salah. They are not there when we perform our Hajj and Umrah. They do not watch us discharging our zakah. And fasting in the month of Ramadan is something nobody can see. It's internalized. What are they aware of? What do they see? What they see is our behavior. What they see is our akhlaq and our character. What they take a note of is the manner in which we drive. So I met another brother, an American, by the name of Jeff Coleman. I even asked him jokingly, so the company that creates the Coleman outdoor products, he says, no, everybody asks me that question, no relatives of mine. Jeff Coleman and his wife are teachers living in Qatar for about 18 years already. In their 50s, accepted Islam very shortly, very recently. So I said to him, as we were having dinner together, I said to him, my brother, I want to apologize because it is possible that you will see many un-Islamic characteristics among our Muslims. And please do not judge Islam too harshly. Do not judge Islam too harshly by the behavior of us Muslims. He said, no, if it was for the Muslims, I would not have accepted Islam. But it was for Islam that I accepted Islam. And he said, many times I've been driving on the road and I would get this 4x4 behind me, flashing me, cutting off in front of me, and then all those finger signs that come up. So he says, I've experienced that, but had it been for that, I would not have accepted Islam, but I accepted Islam for the beauty of Islam. You and I need to be those vicegerents of Allah that will perfect the deen of Allah and then take the deen of Allah to the four corners of the world. The da'wat of Islam is to non-Muslims, and the da'wat of Iman is to Muslims. And this has to come about in our lives, and this is the message of Hajj. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to Sahaba, فَلْيُبَلِّغِ الشَّاهِدُ مِنْكُمُ الْغَائِبِ. Take this deen in its perfection, in its purity, in its completion to the whole world. And we need to make an effort on ourselves. And as we are coming to the end of this Islamic year, it is the ideal opportunity for introspection, looking deep inside. We all go through various year ends. Academic year ends, where students strive hard, they put in their all, and we we hope and make dua for the best results. We have financial year ends. Those who are in that environment will understand the pressure, ensuring that our books are either done correctly or cooked correctly. Either way, they need to be ready so that we do not suffer with heavy fines. I see many people grinning, looking down, smiling. Probably many of us have been targets of that. So we need to make sure that our books are in order, lest we face heavy charges, heavy fines, prison time. The list goes on. Then there are business year ends, like the end of the year where things go on sale. Businesses are very busy. We employ additional staff to run the business properly. Everything is about the bottom line. How well did I do? As an academic or as a student, as a businessman, from a financial perspective, I ask you, honestly, and this is a question that each of us need to introspect regarding. How are my books in the eyes of Allah? You see, we will be questioned by Allah without a shadow of doubt. And Allah gives us the opportunity to question ourselves while we are still alive, while we have the opportunity, before we meet our Creator. حَاسِبُوا قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسَبُوا. Balance your books. Do your internal reconciliation before your books are balanced by Allah. Before your books are opened up and a recon of all of that is made public in front of the entire creation. So this is an ideal opportunity. We are coming to the close of one Islamic year. How do we fare? May Allah Azza wa Jal grant us the opportunity to gather strength from these seasons that we have passed. We have passed through the season of Ramadan, a season in which we've built up our taqwa. We've made a great effort on taqwa. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. And then we came immediately after Eid al-Fitr, started the season of Hajj. And now this season is culminating. May Allah Azza wa Jal grant every single one of us the opportunity to focus on our Islam, on our Iman, on ensuring that our books are balanced before Allah. That at least if we did not make a profit, at least let us not suffer heavy debts. But we all know, we all want to make a profit. We all want to come out comfortably. We want to ensure that there is sufficient left in the pot or in the bank or under the mattress for a rainy day, a nest egg. What about our akhirah? Let us focus on that. May Allah Azza wa Jal guide us all. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen.